to a new segment where we're going beyond books and we're talking to the authors and the creators of them. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. John Finley, known as the Hockeytown Doc. And he is here today with me, and we're going to get to know him a little better and the book that he has written called Hockeytown Doc, a half century of Red Wings stories from Howe to Yzerman. Welcome for joining me today, Dr. Finley.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad. And I know that you've been around Hockeytown and you've been around hockey for a number of years. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how your career started.
Well, actually, I was raised in Syracuse, New York, in upstate New York, and then went to Syracuse University for my pre-med work, to Chicago for my medical work, and then interned in Cleveland and came to Detroit to do a residency in general surgery.
So when you came to Detroit, did you pretty much stay in Detroit?
Yes.
You
yeah.
did. So you've made it your home now for how many years?
Oh gosh, my wife and I were married the same year I started with the Red Wings in 1957, and we've lived in the Detroit area ever since.
Sounds like Detroit has been good to you.
It sure has.
So you had the opportunity, I mean, I know you've written this new book and you've had the opportunity to work with the Red Wings for over 40 years. We know that. This is probably a silly question, but are you a hockey fan? Were you a hockey fan?
I was. As a matter of fact, the only pressure I ever had was playing hockey in sandlot hockey in upstate New York.
Okay. So I'm sure it was pretty exciting then when you got to get involved with the Red Wings.
It was.
And how did that all come about?
Actually, I did surgery at Detroit Osteopathic Hospital, and at that time, the doctors at DOH were taking care of the Tigers, the National League, the Lion football team, and the Detroit Red Wings. And I happened to be lucky enough to join the surgical group that was taking care of the Red Wings, and that's how I became involved.
So over the years, what have you seen?
Oh gosh, we've seen everything. Actually, we went through the original six, and then when expansion occurred in '67, we're involved in the care of not only the home teams, but the visiting teams as well.
Okay. So you've probably, I can imagine, only hundreds and hundreds of players over your time.
Right. Actually, half my career was spent at Olympia Stadium, the other half in Joe Louis Arena.
Okay, okay. So what brought you to the Red Wings? How did they find you? I mean, you said you were working in downtown, but how did you make that connection?
Well, the Red Wings had just won the Stanley Cup a couple of times in the 4 or 5 years before I joined the surgical group. And so the senior people were less anxious to keep going because it's a big commitment. Sure. We're at the games an hour before the game, an hour after the game, and through that, plus being available 24/7 for any injury or any problem with the health of any of the players.
Okay. And were you keeping on regular doctor's hours also along with them?
Yes, we had our own private practice.
I can't imagine then the hours and time that you have given, but it must have been exciting because it was a whole different type of medicine.
It certainly was, and the players were all our friends.
I can imagine. So what types of things, what would be your most memorable things that you remember about being part of the Red Wings and the players?
Well, it was always a distinct pleasure and to be involved with the players. They every year, every game, something new happened. I can remember in the original days we used to take care of any injuries in the fans as well, and I can remember a former mayor was at a game and he had a hypertensive episode, and a lady who was pregnant came in the patient, the former mayor said, "I'm Mayor so-and-so," and she said, "And I'm Joe Lewis," because she didn't believe him.
Oh my God. So not only the players did you get to interact with, but even the people that were at the games.
Right.
It had to have been pretty exciting.
It really
to be
was.
part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've seen some amazing wins with our Red Wings over the years. I mean, you've been part of Stanley Cup wins. That has to be exciting as well, as you see these players accomplish such an amazing, that's the ultimate for the hockey. For the hockey love and for the hockey teams is to earn that Stanley Cup.
It certainly has been, and to be with them on a personal basis was especially. I can remember flying to Chicago on a plane that the team used, and we used to be able to slide the seats back and forth. It was Gordy and our goaltender and Marcel Pronovo and I played bridge together. We would take a blanket out and spread it in front of us and play bridge unless it was a rough flight.
And have good times as you were traveling.
We really
did. So you traveled then with the team as well?
No, we tried to travel with the team during the playoffs.
Okay.
Because the team didn't want the other doctors to know of any injuries, and nor did they want us to know anything.
Sure. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah, just for their own safety, I guess, of their team and keeping it. I understand. What brought you to write your book?
Actually, it all started out with a collection of material I was going to write and give to our family. We have 6 children, so we have a boy and 5 girls, and I thought, boy, this would be a great thing to settle down and just give them a sort of a memory thing.
Sure.
With the hockey team, because they grew up knowing hockey, every one of them. In fact, we had an outdoor rink in the back of our house. It's pictured in the book, and where they all learned to skate and so on.
You have some wonderful pictures actually in the book, and a lot of pictures of players and even battle wounds. And there's one paragraph that I'd like to read. It takes just a minute, but I think it really sums up an amazing friendship that you had with Gordie Howe. It's in the foreword when you read the book. It says, this is Gordie talking. He says, "I have had the privilege of knowing Dr. Jack Finley as a friend and as my personal physician for more than 50 years. From a player's point of view, he was a hero. He was our guardian angel, stitching our gashes, casting our breaks, draining our infections, straightening our spines, and easing our pain enough for us to be able to rejoin the battle. He was our psychologist and confidant, helping us navigate the demands of being fathers, husbands, and sports figures." So not only were you a doctor, if you ask me, Gordie really talks about you being an amazing friend and beyond just someone who was stitching them up. And that sounds like it was a wonderful friendship that you had with Gordie.
It really was. Actually, the best thing about it was Gordie's wife Colleen and my wife Genevieve were great friends and did many things together. And Gordie and I used to play golf together. I can remember we played a game at Oakland Hills 3 days after the 1959 or 60 National Open, and so the pin position was the same on all the greens. And when Gordie had a wonderful day, he was hitting the ball beautifully, and he had a perfect score, 72. He had 6 birds, 6 bogeys, and 6 pars.
So
and
not only was a fantastic hockey player, he could play golf too.
Exactly, he was just wonderful.
That's awesome. You've met so many amazing players over the years. Aside from Gordie, who I know is a very personal friend of yours, who else would you say would be some of your outstanding players that you've worked with?
Well, I still see Ted Lindsay. As a matter of fact, I'm a member of the Ted Lindsay Foundation Board, and so we see each other very frequently. Less frequently, we see other ex-players in the Red Wing Alumni Association. So
And it sounds like you stay very active with the association.
I do.
That's
I
great.
go to all the meetings, and
That's
so.
great. So is there another book on the horizon for you?
Well, we've got a lot of material, so we may do something.
I'm sure you do. I can only imagine the many years and memories that you have been a part of over the years with the hockey team and with the amazing Detroit Red Wings. I just want to thank you so much for your time today and giving us a few minutes to get to know you a little bit and a little bit more about the Hockeytown Doc book. It will be available at the Novi Public Library for our community to check out, and it's also available for purchase.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. It's my pleasure to be here. This is a wonderful facility.